I'm the Uneducated Man, and welcome back to the Iron Couch, where I'm going to do a recap every week of House of the Dragon. If you like this content, help me grow the channel by liking, subscribing, and dropping me a comment. So this week, we got our first taste of the new House of the Dragon intro with our trusty Game of Thrones music, so that answers that question for me. It's not as interesting as the original Game of Thrones intro, but it's still pretty good. We also get introduced to Crab Feeder this week, and he seems like a friendly guy. Kind of. He's definitely proven to already be a catalyst for a lot of drama that we've got going on between some of our main characters. So it'll be interesting to see where all this really goes, what details we've missed in the books. He's not in the episode very long, but he looks like he might be a pretty dangerous guy. Another person barely in this episode is Sir Criston Cole, who whipped Daemon Targaryen's ass. We get a cool scene where a few knights are all trying out for an open spot on the Kingsguard. Criston Cole's the only one that I see that doesn't have a banner or anything. Otto prefers somebody with more power, an older, more respected house, but Rhaenyra doesn't really care about that, and she'd rather have somebody that actually has some combat experience.
You saw combat in the Stormlands?
Dornish marches, Princess.
So let's talk about Corlys Velaryon. He's been trying to have something done about Crab Feeder since episode 1, and I guess about 6 months have passed since then. Now, we open on him losing a ship to Crab Feeder and all its men, so he's pissed. The king doesn't want to allow anything that might start a war, so even after Rhaenyra's offer of dragon riders, he really has no interest in doing anything military. When Corlys comes up dry trying to do something about his sunken ships, he tries to shore up his position by offering his daughter to the king as the new queen. His 12-year-old daughter. That for some reason looks like she borrowed a wig from George Washington. This will all kind of bite the king in the ass later on in the episode and lead to what really looks a lot like an old-school supervillain meetup. And that brings us to Daemon Targaryen, the guy on the couch of Dragonstone. After the king ordered him to go back home to Runestone with his wife, instead he took Lady Misery and went over to Dragonstone, where he's basically just been squatting and pronounced himself the prince. He's also told everybody that he's marrying Lady Misery and that she's already pregnant. So he goes and steals a dragon's egg. It just so happens to be Rhaenyra's baby brother's egg, the baby brother that just died. Otto goes to get the egg back. This is another place we find out that Otto doesn't just dislike Corlys Velaryon, he also hates Daemon. And Daemon seems to hate him right back. We get an interesting moment with Daemon and Rhaenyra over here at Dragonstone, and I'm not really sure what the relationship is or how they feel about each other. I'm also a little unclear as to how Daemon actually feels about Lady Mysaria. It seems like he forgot to tell her about his announcement of marriage and her being pregnant, and that definitely pissed her off. Rhaenyra shows us that she's still got some bad feelings between her and the king, and also that there's some tension between her and Otto Hightower, Hand of the King, when she puts him in check for trying to disrupt her decision about Criston Cole joining the Kingsguard. We get to see a lot more of the friendship between Rhaenyra and Alicent, and that takes us to a really good shot, I think in front of the stranger there in the sept. We also see just how much she really misses her mother. We get to see the relationship between Rhaenyra and Rhaenys, the queen that never was, Corlys' wife, and they don't really seem to like each other either. There's a lot of sore feelings in this family. Rhaenyra happens to be the one that thinks to ask which dragon's egg Daemon stole, and finds out that it was the one she chose for her now dead baby brother. This kind of pisses her off, and against the king's will, she takes her dragon to Dragonstone to confront Daemon. After she gets back, she has a really nice talk with the king, and it seems like things are being mended, which only makes it suck that much more when the king drops a bombshell on her later on in the episode. Now the king. Viserys isn't having things too easy either. Between Crabfeeder, Corlys, Rhaenyra, and Daemon, he's got a lot of people upset with him right now. We do see that he's been spending more and more time with Alicent, and they're getting very close. At the same time, Corlys Velaryon is trying to offer his 12-year-old daughter to the king as his new wife, which historically is totally accurate and probably the most accurate thing in a show about dragons and stuff like that. Doesn't make it not gross. We also get another very accurate scene, which is the king's messed up finger that he cut on the Iron Throne in the last episode being dipped into maggots to help clean it and hopefully keep them from having to cut his finger off. Things look like they might be getting a little better for him after Rhaenyra returns from Dragonstone, and they have a real nice heart-to-heart talk about a few things. But when he drops the bomb on her that he's going to be marrying her best friend,
the Lady Alicent Hightower, before Spring's End.
Not only does it piss off Corlys, who walks out of the room, but it pisses off Rhaenyra, who follows him out. Ultimately leading to a really interesting conversation between Daemon Targaryen and Corlys Velaryon, not against the king, but against the Crabfeeder. There's a few more things I noticed in this episode. The king always wears the dagger. That just makes me want to know if there's more to that dagger than we originally thought. We get to hear a little bit about the whereabouts of Vhagar, who's, I think, the biggest dragon in the world at this point, and nobody's quite sure where she is. We see the way that they transport the dragon eggs in a little brazier and hot coals. That's pretty cool. We got a nice exterior shot of the sept, and a really cool shot inside the sept that, like I said, I'm pretty sure they're sitting in front of the altar to the stranger. If not, that other one is just a creepy looking statue. The model of Valyria is also really cool, and the short explanation the king gives about it. So I hope we get more information on Valyria and how everything went down. And when we got to the scene with the dragons, did anybody else notice Syrax's weird sounds? He sounded like a bird, but unsettling. I kind of liked it. It's really interesting. I like the diversity and the design of these dragons, even down to how they sound. So what are we going to find out in episode 3? Are we going to get our first battle scene against the Crabfeeder? A new dragon, maybe? Like and subscribe for more House of the Dragon content, and hopefully we can all find out next week.